If you've ever felt that awful burning in your chest after eating, you're not imagining things. Certain foods actually mess with your body in ways that make acid reflux worse. But here's what most people don't know. It's not just about avoiding spicy food. There are 4 specific ways common foods trigger your symptoms, and once you understand these, you can finally take control of your acid reflux. Understanding these mechanisms is crucial because it moves you from a place of just guessing what might be causing your discomfort to a place of true understanding and informed decision-making. It's about empowering you with knowledge. So, what are these 4 culprits? We're going to dive deep into how some foods actually weaken the very valve designed to keep stomach acid where it belongs. Then, we'll explore how other foods can slow down your digestion, essentially creating a traffic jam in your stomach that encourages acid to back up. We'll also look at foods that directly dump more acid into your system. And finally, we'll uncover how certain drinks can literally create pressure that forces acid upwards. It's a multifaceted issue, but by breaking it down, we can find effective strategies. Before we get started breaking down each of these food categories, I want to let you know I've put together a comprehensive, free GERD food guide that lists out many common trigger foods and GERD-friendly alternatives. You can find the link to download that in the description below. It's a great resource to have handy as you start making these dietary adjustments. Now, let's get into the specifics of how these foods are impacting your body and what you can do about it. Alright, let's kick things off with our first category: foods that actually weaken your stomach valve. This valve, known as the lower esophageal sphincter or LES, is a muscular ring between your esophagus and your stomach. Its main job is to open to let food pass into your stomach and then clamp shut tightly to prevent stomach acid and food from flowing back up into your esophagus. When this valve doesn't close properly, that's when you experience that telltale burning sensation of acid reflux. It's a critical gatekeeper, and certain foods can sabotage its function. Now, a common culprit here is caffeine. Think about your morning coffee, that afternoon tea, or even those caffeinated sodas. Caffeine contains compounds called methylxanthins, which have a relaxant effect on smooth muscle tissue, and unfortunately, your LES is made of smooth muscle. So, when you consume caffeine, it can cause this valve to relax more than it should, making it easier for stomach acid to splash back up. This isn't to say everyone who drinks coffee will get reflux, but if you're prone to it, caffeine can be a significant contributor to your symptoms. Another food item that often flies under the radar but has a similar effect is chocolate. I know, it's a tough one for many of us to hear. Chocolate, especially darker varieties, contains theobromine, which is another methylxanthine, similar to caffeine. It also has a relaxing effect on the LES. Additionally, chocolate is often high in fat, which can slow down stomach emptying, something we'll talk more about in the next chapter. But the direct impact on the LES from theobromine is a key reason why chocolate can be a trigger for some individuals. Then we have raw onions. While onions are fantastic for flavor, raw onions in particular can be problematic for acid reflux sufferers. They contain fermentable fibers and certain compounds that can stimulate acid production and also relax the LES. The exact mechanism isn't as clearly defined as with caffeine or chocolate, but studies and anecdotal evidence strongly suggest a link. Cooking onions thoroughly can sometimes mitigate this effect for some people, but raw onions in salads or sandwiches are often a significant trigger. You might notice that symptoms from these types of foods often appear relatively quickly after consumption, sometimes within 30 minutes to an hour. This is because the effect on the LES is quite direct. Once these compounds are absorbed and start circulating, they can influence the muscle tone of the sphincter fairly rapidly. If your LES is already a bit weak or prone to relaxing, these foods essentially give it an extra nudge in the wrong direction, opening the floodgates for acid. It's also important to consider the cumulative effect. Maybe 1 cup of coffee is fine, but 3 cups throughout the day, plus a piece of chocolate after dinner, could be enough to push your LES over the edge. Understanding this mechanism helps you pinpoint why certain meals or certain days are worse than others. It's not just what you ate, but how that food interacted with your body's natural defenses against reflux. So the key takeaway from this section is that certain popular food items directly compromise the integrity of your LES. By being aware of how caffeine, chocolate, and raw onions can relax this crucial valve, you can start to make more informed choices. Perhaps it's about reducing frequency, portion size, or finding alternatives if these are consistent triggers for your acid reflux symptoms. It's about identifying these valve relaxers in your diet. Moving on to our second category, let's talk about foods that keep your stomach too full for too long. When food sits in your stomach for extended periods, it increases the chances of acid reflux. Why? Well, a fuller stomach means more contents that can potentially splash back up into the esophagus, especially if your LES isn't functioning perfectly. It also means your stomach is producing acid for a longer duration to try and break down that lingering food, increasing the overall acid load. Spicy foods are a well-known trigger, and while some of the irritation can be direct chemical irritation to the esophagus, they also play a role in slowing down digestion for some people. Capsaicin, the active component in chili peppers, can irritate the stomach lining and affect gastric motility. For some, this means food moves through the digestive system more slowly, leading to that prolonged fullness and increased pressure in the stomach, making reflux more likely. Then we have the big fried and fatty foods. Think about your favorite fast food, greasy takeaways, or even heavily processed snacks. These foods are high in fat, and fat, by its very nature, takes longer to digest than carbohydrates or proteins. When you eat a high-fat meal, your stomach has to work overtime, and the emptying process is significantly delayed. This means food, along with stomach acid, remains in the stomach for a much longer period, increasing the window of opportunity for reflux to occur. This prolonged gastric emptying time is a critical factor. Imagine your stomach as a container. If it's emptying efficiently, the level of contents stays relatively low. But if food is slow to leave, the container stays fuller for longer, and any pressure changes, like bending over or lying down, can easily cause the contents to slosh back up. This is why many people experience worse reflux after a particularly heavy, fatty meal, or if they eat such foods close to bedtime. Fast food and highly processed snacks often combine several problematic elements. They are typically high in fat, sometimes spicy, and can also contain other additives or preservatives that might irritate the digestive system or further slow down transit time. The convenience of these foods often comes at a cost to our digestive comfort, especially for those of us prone to acid reflux. It's a double whammy of slow digestion and potential irritants. It's also worth noting that the volume of food consumed plays a role here, in conjunction with the type of food. A large meal, even if it's not excessively fatty, will naturally take longer to digest than a smaller one. But when you combine a large portion size with foods that are inherently slow to digest, like fried chicken or a large order of fries, you're creating a perfect storm for acid reflux symptoms to flare up. So, the takeaway here is that foods that delay stomach emptying create a scenario where your stomach is under pressure for longer, increasing the risk of acid backing up. Recognizing these stomach slowdowners, particularly spicy foods, fried and fatty items, fast food, and heavily processed snacks, is key. Opting for smaller, more frequent meals and choosing leaner proteins and baked or grilled options over fried ones can make a significant difference in managing your symptoms. Our third category focuses on foods that quite simply add extra acid to an already painful situation. Your stomach naturally produces strong acid, hydrochloric acid, to break down food and kill bacteria. However, when you're already dealing with acid reflux, the last thing you want to do is introduce even more acid into your system, as this can directly irritate an already inflamed esophagus and worsen the burning sensation. Citrus fruits are a classic example here. Oranges, lemons, grapefruits, and their juices are highly acidic. While they are packed with vitamin C and other nutrients, their low pH can be a major problem if you have GERD. When these acidic foods enter your stomach, they contribute to the overall acidity of your stomach contents. If that acidic mixture then refluxes into your esophagus, it's going to cause more irritation and pain than less acidic stomach contents would. Similarly, tomatoes and tomato-based products like tomato sauce, ketchup, and, yes, pizza, are also quite acidic. Tomatoes contain malic and citric acid, which contribute to their tart flavor, but also to their potential to aggravate acid reflux. Think about how common tomato sauce is in many diets: pasta dishes, pizzas, soups. For someone with a sensitive esophagus, this frequent exposure to added acidity can be a constant source of discomfort. Pizza, in particular, can be a triple threat for acid reflux. You have the acidic tomato sauce, often high-fat toppings like cheese and processed meats, which slow stomach emptying, as we discussed in the last chapter, and sometimes a dough that can be heavy and contribute to fullness. It's a combination that, for many, almost guarantees a reflux episode. It's not just one component, but the synergy of several problematic ingredients. When your esophagus is already irritated from previous reflux episodes, it becomes much more sensitive to acidic foods. Even a small amount of acid can cause significant pain. It's like pouring lemon juice on an open cut. It stings. That's essentially what's happening when acidic foods come into contact with an esophagus that's been damaged by stomach acid. The nerve endings are more exposed and reactive. The good news is that there are less acidic fruit options you can enjoy. Instead of reaching for an orange, consider fruits like apples, though some varieties are more acidic than others. So listen to your body. Melons such as cantaloupe and honeydew, bananas or pears. These fruits are generally much gentler on the digestive system and less likely to contribute to the overall acid load in your stomach, reducing the burn if reflux does occur. Understanding this acid amplifier effect is crucial. It's not always about preventing reflux entirely, though that's the goal, but also about minimizing the damage and discomfort when it does happen. By choosing less acidic foods, you're reducing the irritant potential of your stomach contents. This can make a significant difference in your day-to-day comfort levels and allow your esophagus time to heal if it's been inflamed. Finally, let's tackle our fourth category: drinks that create excess pressure in your stomach, literally forcing acid upwards past your LES. This is a mechanical issue. Even if your LES is relatively strong and the food you've eaten isn't inherently problematic, certain beverages can introduce gas and pressure that physically overwhelm the valve, leading to reflux. It's like overinflating a balloon until it pops, except in this case, your LES is being forced open. The most obvious culprits here are carbonated drinks. Sodas, sparkling water, seltzers, and even some energy drinks are loaded with carbon dioxide gas, which is what gives them their fizz. When you drink these beverages, that gas is released into your stomach. This sudden influx of gas expands your stomach, increasing internal pressure. This increased intragastric pressure can then push against your LES, making it more likely to open and allow stomach contents, including acid, to escape into the esophagus. Think about the sensation after drinking a fizzy drink quickly. You often feel the need to burp. That burp is your body trying to release that excess gas. However, each time you burp, there's a chance that it's not just gas escaping, but also a bit of stomach acid along with it. For someone with GERD, this can be a frequent trigger for symptoms, turning a seemingly harmless beverage into a source of significant discomfort. Alcohol is another major player in this category, though its effects are multifaceted. While some alcoholic beverages are also carbonated, like beer or champagne, mixers with soda, alcohol itself can irritate the stomach lining, potentially increase acid production, and relax the LES. Furthermore, alcohol can impair judgment about food choices, leading to indulgence in other trigger foods. The combined effect, especially the gas from carbonated alcoholic drinks, significantly contributes to pressure buildup. The volume of liquid consumed also matters. Drinking large quantities of any fluid quickly can distend the stomach and increase pressure. However, when that fluid is also carbonated, the effect is amplified significantly. It's not just the liquid volume, but also the added gas volume that contributes to the problem. This is why even diet or zero-sugar carbonated drinks can still be problematic for acid reflux sufferers. The issue isn't the sugar, but the carbonation itself. So, what are better alternatives? Plain, flat water is always an excellent choice. It hydrates you without adding any gas or irritants. Herbal teas, particularly those known for their soothing digestive properties like ginger tea, in moderation, as too much can be an irritant for some, or chamomile tea, can also be good options. Just be cautious with peppermint tea, as peppermint can sometimes relax the LES for some individuals, falling into our first category of triggers. By understanding how these pressure builders work, you can make smarter choices about your hydration and beverage consumption. It's about recognizing that the enjoyable fizz in some drinks can have a direct physical consequence on your stomach and LES. Opting for non-carbonated beverages can significantly reduce this type of mechanically induced reflux giving your LES a much-needed break from being constantly challenged by internal pressure. Understanding these 4 ways, foods trigger your acid reflux changes everything. Instead of randomly avoiding foods and hoping for the best, you can now identify what's actually causing your symptoms. Is it something weakening your valve, like that morning coffee or evening chocolate? Is it a heavy, fatty meal slowing your digestion way down? Could it be the acidic nature of tomatoes in your pasta sauce? Or is it the carbonation in your favorite soda creating too much pressure? Once you know the why behind your triggers, you can make smarter, more targeted choices and finally get meaningful relief. This knowledge empowers you to become an active participant in managing your health. It's not about deprivation, but about strategic substitution and mindful eating. Maybe it's switching to decaf, baking instead of frying, choosing less acidic fruits, or opting for flat water. Small, consistent changes based on understanding these mechanisms can lead to significant improvements in your quality of life. You don't have to live with that constant burning or fear of eating. If this helped you understand your acid reflux better, hit that like button and subscribe for more health tips that actually make sense. Don't forget to check the description below for my complete guide to GERD-friendly meal planning, which is packed with even more information and food lists. And if you're interested in learning more about strengthening your LES, click here to watch my video on natural ways to strengthen your stomach valve. Remember, you have the power to influence how you feel. Disclaimer: this video is for informational purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. Always consult your healthcare provider before making changes to your diet or treatment plan.